Welcome to the desert of the real.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Fury. This is Zero News. We nearly didn't have you there. I'm just making sure that I've got the chat from normal YouTube available in front of me on the computer, because what I tend to find is the chat on StreamYard is the what's the word? The censored chat that YouTube gives you. So I try and make sure I can see the chat on on the actual YouTube screen, so I can see what you're actually saying rather than what they choose to let me see. As you can see, there's a link pinned to the top. But what I did want to say, so I'll say this out the gate. So welcome to This Is Zero News. I'll say this out the gate. I've started a little bit late tonight, and I've got a new sound mixer, and it's either going to work out or it's not, and it needs to be tried. But if it works, it means that, well, one, you can have stereo sources and stuff like that, which is handy if people speaking over each other. But also, it means that you're going to have phone calls coming in, stuff like that. So it means if I do a live show, there's various different ways of contacting the show and having people on, whether they be high profile, no profile, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point of it being, so I wanted to give that a try. I'm going to give that a try tomorrow. So I was going to say tomorrow night, probably about 8 o'clock. Come on and we'd do like a phone in. You can come on StreamYard, but the reason I want to do offer a phone number as well is because I know a lot of people get really paranoid about the idea of coming on StreamYard, because they think that there's a chance that they might get what's the word, that they might accidentally get their face put on there. And I remember a guy came on once, didn't realize his face was going to be put on there, and absolutely freaked out and nearly got me taken off. He didn't mean to, he just panicked. So it also gives people that way where they can phone up and they know they're safe, their face is safe. So, and all I've got to do, again, that's just going to be routed through the mixer, and I'll just turn the volume up for them. So I want to try all that equipment tomorrow. At the moment, I don't want to show you around, it's embarrassing, but I've been working on equipment all week. So it is, when I finished on here with you tonight, I'm basically going to be going and clearing the bomb shelter. And then tomorrow night, I'll be prepared and ready. And we can, like I say, if people have, and it doesn't have to be this subject today, by the way, if people have a lot of strong opinions about a lot of things at the moment, then come on, have your say. And that invite goes from everybody from Voice of Wales and Danny Roscoe to people I've never known, to my own audience, to my own mods. It's everybody. It's an open invitation, and I don't do many of them these days, but it's an open invitation to absolutely anybody to come on and talk about the issues that we are talking about. That's the only thing. It's the only rule I have, is if it's outside of the issues that we're talking about, and it's an attempted hijack on your bike, you're out. So but I still wanted to cover a tiny little bit of this tonight, because I put it in the title now, and I felt it's a bit of a wind up just to come on, say that to you and fuck off. So let me just cover the title. So I know that by saying anything against Trump, that I'm instantly going to earn myself lots of enemies, both this side and the other side of the pond. I'm not actually slagging Trump off. And I also want you to understand, I've mentioned Biden and Trump in the same sentence. And again, I don't see their politics as being the same. I don't know if Biden even knows that he's still alive. I don't know if Biden knows if he has a pulse. Very, very different people, very, very different politics. And the people around them, very, very different people, very, very different politics. Right? So all of that, no brainer. Of course, yes, accepted. Right. Now let's put that to one side a moment. I remember going back to when Obama was in power. Now, some of you may remember the boots on the ground fucking line. That was right, because he didn't want to be seen as a president that did what Bush did and sent troops in, right? He didn't want to be seen as the guy sending troops in the way that Bush did. So what he did was have this no boots on the ground policy, which, from my understanding, he actually spent more and did more military action than Bush did, if I'm understanding it right, or at least budget wise. He did loads. He did loads military, and but using these slogans and stuff like that, he kind of got away with people noticing he'd actually done probably more than most of his predecessors towards war. Anyway, that's not really the point I'm trying to make. Around that time, I remember Sam Harris, before he grew a vagina, because in the last year, Sam Harris has grown a vagina, so it's very difficult to listen to him now. But before he grew a vagina, back then when he was a brave man who was a critical thinker, I remember him being involved in a conversation with some people, and it come directly from a political conversation. And the conversation was quite simple. It was that America had decided that it wanted to not police the world anymore. And this was actually not just a conversation. This made news. Maybe not front page on every paper, but this made news around the world, and people were talking about it around the world. Well, what happens if America doesn't police the world? Will it be a better place? Will it be a worse place? And the argument was, well, they couldn't have done much fucking worse. So let's try it without them. And what a lot of people said to America at the time was, you can't just jump in, police it. I mean, imagine if the British Empire just jumped out of everywhere all at once. It would have been chaos. They said, you've made the mistake. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. So you've gone out, you've gone into these places for good, for bad, for right, for wrong. All of that is up for debate. But for good, for bad, for right, for wrong, you've gone into these places, and now you wish you hadn't. And totally understandable. But that is what you take on when you police the world. So America's response was, maybe we should step back from policing the world. And people's response to that was, well, you can't just do that. If you just step back from policing the world, then you're going to have a problem, and that's you're going to create a power vacuum. You can't unbecome a superpower unless everybody around you gets better weapons than you. So you're a superpower whether you like it or not. And being a superpower has these other drawbacks with it. Like, everyone was jealous or outraged by the British Empire, but these were all the same problems the British Empire had. If you're the most powerful thing there, then people will moan about you policing the world, but they'll also expect it. And so they were caught between a rock and a hard place, but they had jumped in. They had their Saigons. And what we've just seen in Afghanistan is another Saigon. Make no mistake, they've just surrendered again. So you got Britain, who surrendered to the IRA, and you've got the Americans now who've just surrendered to the Taliban after however many years of people fighting. So where am I going with all this? And I will make this shorter because I do want the phone in to be tomorrow about, and again, this and other subjects. But what I'm trying to say is that conversation was during that I heard about them wanting to draw back, wanting to take troops out, wanting to put the genie back in the bottle. All of that was before Trump's time. All of that was way early into Obama's time. So since then, we've had the rest of Obama's reign. We've had Trump. And now we've got Biden. And my point is, since that conversation, I don't know what year that was, and I don't want to guess. But since that conversation, they have been pulling out. They have been, and that conversation may have been 10 years ago, right? May have been longer, but I'm thinking it's roughly a decade, right? That they were wanted to pull out, and they were going, and they were really seriously thinking about it. Well, they have, and they are continuing to pull out, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, they're pulling out. The last person to actually dig his heels in, but even then, he used the boots in the ground strategy to get him out of it, was Obama. But even he had it on the mind, but he was the last one to actually stick his boots in the ground, which is amazing in itself. But then again, he was a warmonger, so who's surprised? But the point of it being is, who's really in control then? Because, okay, maybe Biden and Trump have completely opposing ideologies. I think we can all agree that's true. We don't even know if Biden's actually aware that he's still a conscious being. Okay, but we know the people around him are, all right? We know the people around him that have an agenda, yeah? And we know what that agenda is in terms of BLM and everything else. My point being is, I remember seeing this, it was a film, I think it was about Nixon. There was a point in the film where these students catch Nixon sort of without the usual complement of security. It's probably just a made up scene, but they said to him, he stuttered when they were trying to ask him questions, and they said to him, "Is this someone stopping you saying something? Are you a victim in this?" And in this film, obviously it's a film, but he never answers, and the students start getting this idea that maybe the president's not got the power that they thought he had. And we kind of know this is true because of corporations, oil companies, all these big tech, all these big companies. We know if they don't run the government, we know they will punish governments for not doing things their way by doing deals in other countries, by setting up companies in other countries, by doing stuff like that to F them over with tax and everything else. So we do know that whatever anybody says, all companies, everybody else has a massive effect on these on government, right? That's putting aside the Saudis and all the other stuff. So the question is, as much as I understand that they've got completely different ideologies and there's probably things that they could do and they did do that were very, very different, and you can tell that by the state of the economy, I get that. At the end of the day, and I remember Bolton saying this, the reason that it sprung into mind, by the way, is I remember Bolton saying a long, long time ago that I can't remember what it was, but it was the first time that something happened where Trump went along with the status quo, and he called it out and he said, "Puppet." And he called it out and he said, "Puppet." And I didn't know, I didn't have an opinion on what he said. I just listened to it and I remembered it. And we go forward in time, and now I'm seeing what is like when the Americans were in such a fucking rush to get out of there. Half the people that are trying to get on that plane fucking died. It wasn't half of them, but a lot of people died trying to hang on to that fucking plane. Now, what did the Brits do? The Brits said it's going to be difficult. We're going to have to find landing zones and places like that, but we are not going to have those kinds of images around our planes. Yeah. So, and to the American people, this is not a dig at you. This is a government, okay? But you got the pictures from fucking Saigon, which is one of the most shameful, embarrassing moments in American history. You got the first Gulf War, which is the most shameful periods in American history. And they just allow those kinds of shots to be shown again in the next century. So the 20th and now the 21st century, you got their plane flying off, leaving people once again, and some of those people actually dying because the plane was just going to take off no matter what. And the Brits have said, "Fuck, are we going to have that kind of imagery?" Right? Because the Brits have had an empire, and as much as everybody likes to tease us about it, like, we know, and it's like, we're not going to have that imagery around our planes. We're going to make sure that it's taken care of, and that people are either on there or they're not. And when our planes take off, nobody's going to be fucking falling off them and dying. Right? This is the way it should have been done first time around. But they were in such a rush to get out, it's Saigon all over again. Now, the details don't matter. The optics, the news, the sound bites, the news headlines, they are what people mostly read. Most people won't even read a fucking article. They read the headline and they make all their conclusions from there. So you've got that plane running off, no matter whether they're at fault or not. It's a fucking bad look, a really bad look for America. And so we're all going to blame Biden for it. I'm blaming Biden for it. Fair dues. But is this what I also see is this, and this is where I'm going to come to your comments in a second. I'm seeing congruity. I'm seeing a contiguous plan that's been going on since before Trump, and that is not demilitarizing, but taking America out of the position of policing the world. Now, America at that point, when they started to make this decision, was probably about the only superpower left because Russia's economy was in the shits and still is, right? But you've got China now, who are arguably a bigger superpower than America. We'll only know if they go to war, right? And this is the other thing about the symbolism of having that plane flying off like Saigon, yeah? That sends a strong message to China. America is weak, right? Whether it is or isn't, I don't believe America's weak at all, but it sends that signal. America is weak, and if you do want a war, now's a great time because look at the state of them. They're running off from the Taliban. These people that they've portrayed as ragheads with guns, and yet they've been fighting them for 20 odd years and been unable to defeat them, and in the end they've basically surrendered. Right? Whatever you want to call it, it's surrender. So it sends that message out to the world as well, and to our enemies, and to their enemies, to the Chinese, to the Russians. So you've got these other superpowers now, like the Chinese, who are really flexing up their muscles. If you think that a country like China, who has built God knows how many more times of their GDP, they are creating an invasion machine. Right? Everybody knows this. You can see it. It's been pictured. So they're creating an invasion machine. You don't create an invasion machine unless you plan to use it. You just don't. It's never been done, and it never will be done. You create invasion machines. You create invasion-sized armies to invade. It's that fucking simple. And if people are too stupid to see that, there's nothing I can do to educate them, right? But that is the way it is. That's what they're doing. And at the very same time, Biden is bending over and saying, look, America's right for being fucked up the ass, right? The timing couldn't be worse. Unless, of course, and the two thoughts that did cross my mind was China's really has already won, not just with the big tech, not just with the news, but with the governments itself. Perhaps China already has won. I know it's a stretch, but I'm just saying. Or perhaps they're shit scared, or perhaps this is another way of increasing the strength of Islam around the world. Is that another? Is that what it is? Is it just like, fuck it, that we're trying to build Islam up anyway. Let's let them take. Again, these are just me throwing out theories because I'm trying, like the rest of you, to understand what is going on. But the big question is, are they all following one plan? Even if they've got individual politics, even if they have, individual outlooks on the economy and this and that, when it comes to the bigger issues like this, are they all following the same plan? Because it fucking looks like they are from the outside. Once you get to a certain age and you see this over the course of 10 years and the things you've heard them say over the course of 10 years, you realize they're following a plan, which is to withdraw from being the world's policeman. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And if I'm right, which is nothing to say I am, if I'm right, do you think that a superpower can declare itself not a superpower anymore? Do you think that it works that way? Do you think that a superpower can just go, oh no, that's it, no, we don't want that anymore? Do you think that was possible? And what do you think the consequences of that would be? And I've put a link at the top. If you want to come on, you can. You don't have to engage your mic. Your camera. You can just use voice only. I doubt any of you will, because most people haven't got the bollocks. But if you have, the link's right at the top. Click on it, and I'll let you on. And if not, I'll just go through the comments. We'll have a look at the comments. But I see this as being, I see this as being contiguous. I see this as, I'm not saying it's all one part of one big plan because I just sound like everybody else, but I do see it as being a contiguous plan that has been carried out by whatever government's in power. And what do you think? Let me just go through your chat. I'm not going to be able to highlight the chat for me because I'm looking at the proper YouTube chat. Biden is watching Peppa Pig. Oh dear, he probably is. He probably is. Howdy, Tom and all. Hey, Stefan. Trump had a ban. Biden didn't follow it. Okay. Evening, Bolton. Oh, sorry, slipping around all over the place. Archie, good to see you, my man. Who knows the facts, Tom? Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, we're never gonna know 100%, but I think there's, and this is the thing, like this is why even I've learned now that you got to be careful saying conspiracy theorists because some things are never going to be able to be proven to 100% fact. But there's some stuff you got to put together. It's a tightrope. But I do realize that these days the words conspiracy and theorist are used to dismiss quite legitimate criticisms. And so I'm in a bit of a bind with that at the moment because I know there are actually people that just make up shit for the sake of it, right? They're conspiracy theorists. And there are people that actually have got legitimate theories that are testable and are, they make a lot of sense. And so it's like and they're being dismissed as conspiracy theories because it's an easy way of making people ignore them. Same as calling you racist during the middle of a debate, So I realize that, and it's like trying to split them apart. I haven't found a way of doing it. He's carry on. But as I think it was Bolton or someone once said, we'll never know the full truth about many of these things. But I do believe that between the people that I've ever met on the internet, I think that there's some of the story that we could at least say that's a plausible argument to a point of going so plausible it's likely to be one of the main arguments, or that there'll be enough fact between people to at least be able to work out a skeletal frame of what's going on. Because again, the contiguous nature of it to me says it's not such a turnabout. I don't feel like everybody else feels like this is a big turnaround. This is not a turnaround, not for me. This is more of the same. In terms of pulling out of countries and pulling out of things that are global. Interesting when you've got everybody interested in globalism, but there's a whole other story. Just catching up. But to anybody that watched the Taliban stuff tonight and believed the word that they said, which I'm sure a lot of the BBC watchers will, all you were hearing was everything that they wanted you to hear. All you were hearing was everything they knew you expected to hear from them in order for them not to have bombs instantly dropped on them. That's all they were doing when they went on and said women's got rights and everything else. They went on there to that was as close as they're going to come to appeasing you. I would be surprised, and you can say this is being sensationalist, but from personal talks with people who have lived in these countries, right? Seriously, I say this with some education, and that is there will probably be women, if they go out tonight, already being raped in the fucking streets if they dare to go out, because some of the old school, the old crew, and the new Taliban that are in there will see them, and they'll see them as moving fucking targets. And who's going to stick up for them now? Nobody, right? And I remember when they got into Egypt, I knew someone who, believe it or not, had some kind of royalty in their blood. I don't know how it works in Egypt because it's constantly flux of where the power is. But they'd been very rich. They were still rich, but they weren't as rich because of the Islam coming in at the time. but they had rights in that there. But at the same time as having rights, the women I'm talking about, they had rights up there. But at the same time as having rights, at any time, a woman could be pulled out of a car and raped, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen the next day about it. Well, you know, what were you doing out in your car at night like that? That's the question that will be asked of them. And that, I mean, I don't know what it's like in Egypt now, but that was, oh God, probably about 6-7 years ago. Something like when I was doing groups on Facebook and I was talking to people, you know, who'd been sufferers of this stuff, where the line of the caliphate had moved. And so I was, you know, I was talking to these people, and this, I mean, this girl was absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And she didn't believe in the hijab or nothing. You know, it wasn't a part of her culture. But what they put her through, is just unbelievable. You wouldn't know how someone so nice could be treated so horribly. But then again, you could say that about a million things around the world. So anyway, I'm sorry. Let me keep catching up with you. Sorry. Nothing wrong with Bolton. Bolton's been there. Um, Bolton's been there for 3 fucking years. As is Archer and other people. Bolton's been there for 3 fucking years. Don't know what I would have done without him. Don't know what I would have done without him. So that's all I got to say on that. All presidents are Zionist puppets, Tom. All controlled by Israel, mate. See, have you got any? Because I hear people say this, and then I hear, so some people say it's all controlled by Israel. Some people say it's all controlled by the Saudis. You get different people saying it's all controlled by different things, and I think the truth is probably more likely that if different people are saying these things, it probably is more of a mix. Like the top, like the wealth is distributed. Like the top 1% is between like about 80 odd people or something like that. But they're not all Jewish. So is it possible that it's part Saudi, part Jewish, part this, part that? I don't. I'd like, and I'm not saying this as a knocking you kind of comment. I'd like to see some kind of evidence to suggest that why they're Zionist as opposed to say Islamic puppets or or any anything. You know, a lot of you guys like to use the term New World Order. Are they New World Order puppets? Are they Illuminati? I mean, I don't use these terms, but you get what I'm saying. You know, why is it Zionist? Um, because from what I've seen, there's like I say, at the very very top, there's a mix, and yeah, the people with power that seem to be having the most effect, especially on our country, and I realize it's different from America. Well, it's the Saudis and things. So I don't know. I don't know. I would like to see proof of some of these things. No, America isn't weak, but America has a track record of losing wars. America has a track record of taking time to warm up before it is at its best. And America is weak, has been weak at times. Just because you've got 1,000 fucking planes, you haven't got the pilots to fly them. Do you know? Do you know that the Americans asked to do a test with the British twice, to see if America was safe against a nuclear strike by a plane? And us little English people, right? We're allies, and we did it together as allies because we are trying to help each other defend ourselves better. Okay, so it wasn't a challenge, but at the same time, it was because everybody was doing their best to make sure that if everybody's doing their best, this is almost as close to a real world scenario as possible. In those two tests, the first time round, the Americans didn't know what was coming. So, in fairness, that was the hardest test. Yeah, the Brits scrambled. They've got some kind of tech where they scramble the radar signals, so it's really hard to track them down to any close range. And then they used a tactic where they flew certain planes in different directions. They totally fucked the Americans, and it was a successful missile strike. As in, had they have wanted to drop the nuclear bomb, they would have done it. And so the Americans, actually quite grateful to the British, said, "Can we do this test again?" And I don't know if it was the next year or how long afterwards it was, but they felt like they needed to rearrange perhaps the way they were strategizing, the way they were doing things. So they did this test again. This time, the test was planned in exactly the same way. It was only a few changes they could make to it, as in tactics up in the air, because obviously if they know exactly what's going to happen, then it'd be easy to stop. So tactics up in the air were going to be kept quiet, but the direction, everything else was going to be the same. So they knew what was coming this time. Guess what happened the second time? The Brits got to wherever the target was and bombed it again, proving that America was wide open for a nuclear strike. Now that was back then when America was really focusing a lot on its military. What I'm trying to say is, with all the infighting and all of the way America is at the moment, conning yourself into thinking that America is massively strong at the moment is really stupid. One thing Churchill had right about America was he said when America were brought into the World War, he said, we've just won the war, boys. You know, we've just won the war because we've got the Americans in. But one thing he said about the Americans was they're going to be slow starters. They're going to come into this, and they did, like they knew better, and it's understandable. The Americans thought, well, hang on a minute, you guys have been getting slaughtered, so why are we going to take any advice off you? Not realizing that we'd been through a long learning curve. So they went over when they joined the World War II, got absolutely fucking slaughtered at first, absolutely slaughtered, because they went through the same learning curve as us, because they thought, well, what can we teach? What can we learn from the English? Because they keep getting shot. They found out why. So then they started working with us. But the point was, what Churchill knew was, once America gets its shit together and everybody's working together and they're all on the same page, it's unstoppable. It's an unstoppable force, and it's like a fucking train that's getting up ahead of steam. Now try stopping it. Now try stopping America when America is at its best, at its peak, and running full steam at you. You ain't stopping it. You ain't stopping it for nothing. It's the most powerful force on earth. But that doesn't mean America can't have weak times, weak days, weak years, weak periods. And every empire has weak periods. You think the Roman Empire was strong for 1,000 years? That's a foolish, foolish mistake. So never just sit there and think that your country is never weak, because all countries are weak at times. Your country is incredibly open for attack right now because of the division within inside of it. And I'm a person that loves America. I'm a person that loves America. So you can Mr. me all you like, Michelle. You can Mr. me all you like. But at the end of the day, I'm not the cunt that sat in the country that got fucking technically bombed twice by the British and would have been the end of your country had it have been a serious fucking strike. You're weak in many places because you haven't had war on your doorstep, with the exception of Pearl Harbor. If it came to you, as 9/11 proved, too slow to act, too slow to do a lot of things, too slow to stop it, too stupid to listen to your own intelligence. Now, those lessons would have been learned, I'm sure. I'm sure that couldn't happen again, not in the same way at least. I'm sure these days, all those lessons have been learned. We all become lax when we don't have to fight. That's the problem. So anyway, back to the subject about someone keep trying to wind up every conversation we have on here, beginning to wonder what the agenda is. But so let me just cut. But everything in the, oh geez, do you know what? I'm gonna actually think about just fucking her off before long. Oh, I'm just going to ignore it because the conversation's not about you. WEF did say the US will no longer be the world superpower. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. The WEF did say the US will no longer be the world. So do you know when that was said to the person that said that? I don't know if you're still on. Do you know when that was said? That's interesting that they said that as well. I didn't know that, because that is in line with everything I've been saying, and it's been going on for at least a decade. They know what the score is before they run for president. Do you think that's true? Honestly, do you think that's true? Because I do know. I remember Jesse Ventura saying, Jesse Ventura, many of you must know him, and he's often known for his conspiracy theories. But he said, in order to be successful in politics, you have to lower yourself to it. You have to be prepared to be that scumbag. He said, even I've had to do it in order to survive in a political world. If you don't, you can't play the game. Which is crazy. So if you want to make the world a better place, you've got to lower yourself to play the game of politics the way that the scumbags play it. Because if you don't, you've got no chance. You'll go straight to the bottom and you'll have no chance of success. So you've got to play the game the way the rest of the dirty bastards play it. That's how it's rigged, is that to get into it, you've got to go. So I believe that person's probably right. You've got to go into that knowing you've got to play dirty games. In fact, the person that me and Boa used to know on here, who was into politics, he said to me something about seeing in the bar in Parliament all these people wheeling and dealing and knifing one back, flowers into the face and all the rest of it. And I said to my dad, "Hey, you can stand it, right?" And he was a politician. He said, "I fucking love it." And I was like, "What?" "I fucking love it." He meant it. He loved the wheeling and dealing, the backstabbing, the games, the politics, the scumbaggery, the douchebaggery of it all. He loved it. His words were, "I love it. I absolutely love it." What the fuck? What the fuck? That's someone in this country we knew. Yeah? Don't want to back me up on this. We can't back me up on what he said, but it'll back me up on the person. Right? So, so anyway, let me just go back, because I realise as I said, StreamYard links up there. We've got some people on with large voices when they're typing. That StreamYard link is there. And I'm not, but by the way, listen, in all seriousness, right, I say that, and that sounds a little bit like a challenge. So if you come on, like, we used to have phone-ins a long time ago. If you come on, if you treat us with respect, we treat you with respect. We don't do that. Yeah, we're not here to mock people who we don't agree with and ass kiss the people that we do. We're here to have a conversation, and the reason you're invited on is to take part in that conversation in a way where you're not limited by the fact that you've only got a keyboard to talk back to me with, because it does limit your ability to talk back, especially if we're debating or something like that. You're always at the losing end of it because you're having to type, or just by pure conversation. So again, if it be the Danny Roscoe's and the Voice of Wales and people like that end up coming on, it will be because everybody else has lacked the balls to, which is a shame, because, as I said, we used to do this before, and just that little bit of bravery. Because there's plenty of people, as I say that, here we go, plenty of people, as I say that, want to, you're just afraid to. And I understand why. If you're not used to this, it's different. Bolton's just coming on now. Hey, Bolton, welcome. Welcome, Bolton, to the first time you've been on Zero News in I don't know how long.
I just had to, because I'm the worst admin on here. Just had to show my face, well, not show my face, but never
what
either.
The fuck? I know. I just saw that.
Never either.
Like,
crazy bitch. Anyway,
has that made you? Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
I doubt it, Tom. I might have to have a few beers just to get me to sleep,
Therapy, maybe. Therapy.
Yes. Oh, yes, without a doubt.
Well,
yeah. So I was watching. I was watching all today. I'm like most people on here. I use TR News on Telegram now for all my news. Brilliant, absolutely superb.
It's getting really good for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's he got now? 116,000 followers.
It's growing massively and like it's daily now.
Yeah. You get a real good snapshot of what's going on.
And now there's so much news going there now that it is actually, for people that don't check this out, go into TR News on Telegram. You are actually getting so much news there now. It's well worth going to. But sorry, Bolton, carry on.
Yes, so I was watching all the Afghanistan carry on. I mean, it's you can see the BBC and everyone just blowing up out of all proportion now. It was going to be inevitable anyway. What was going to happen, and now all we're hearing now is that we've got to take thousands of them. Where are we going to put them? What are we going to do with them? What infrastructure have we got?
Yeah, why us again? Why us again as well? Like, we're not an empire anymore. We don't have that space anymore.
Yeah, why
us again?
We've got the poor Gurkhas who are starving themselves to death so they can get a decent pension. The people what fought for this country. I'm not saying that all Afghanis never, because we had a lot of interpreters who was joined into the British Army, but I might be calling this out wrong now, but I would say the only reason they did it was for a bit of money. They was getting well looked after. They've no loyalty.
I mean, it's hard to say. I won't say it as a damning statement, but probably. How do you feel about what I was saying earlier when I said? Because you said it very early in Trump's reign, and that was, you said, I can't remember what it was. Maybe you remember, but I doubt it. I can't remember what it was. There was an event that happened, and I think that you thought if Trump was truly autonomous, he would basically override it or not do it, and it didn't happen. And you said, I remember you saying puppet. And that was a lot. I mean, I'm talking a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a lot of people.
You've never been anti-Trump. You've never been anti-Trump or anything like that. No. But you called it out then. And do you think with this Taliban thing and us continuing to pull out of things, do you think this is a contiguous plan?
I don't think it was supposed to go the way it's going. I think. I mean, we're just surmising, aren't we? We'll never know really what's going on. But I think China are going to move into China and Russia are already pledging support to the Taliban, and now we'll do exactly the same. We'll give the Taliban a world stage as well, I think. And it's not right to do it because it's a backward regime, you know.
We know that it won't take 5 minutes for a caliphate, official or not, to be declared there. We know that whatever they say to those cameras, women are in danger now, big danger. I mean, I don't know if people realize just how much danger they're in.
Well, it's an Islamic state. I mean, I suggest that people, if you want a rough idea, I go onto YouTube and I just browse in and I come across. I don't know why it comes on my timeline, but I'm getting street food in Pakistan, like in Lahore, and you don't see one woman on the street. It's all men. Every single one's a man. And then you'll get street food in India. I know that's totally different. Some women are doing the cooking.
You know, the funny thing is, you notice it. If you go across Europe, you notice it the moment you hit Turkey. You notice the change. As in the way women are treated, the way they're kept away. Do you know what I mean? And the way they're looked at. And you notice it the moment you hit Turkey. And from there on, that part of the world onwards, you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you know what I mean, but most places. I know the Saudis at the moment are trying to they keep doing deals with big companies, don't they? Entertainment companies, and they're trying to say, oh, it's because we're changing. But do you buy into
No,
that?
they're not changing it. No, it's just because they've got the money. They can buy what they want and do what they want.
It's money.
I mean,
Yeah. They can even buy a good image.
I've seen it today where the Taliban announced that they was waiting for the leaders to fly in from Qatar. Qatar, what's happening there in the next 3 years? Next World Cup. What's going to happen then? As Mr. Southgate and all these Premier League footballers still be going to get on their knees? Wake up, wake up.
I know. See, the thing is, I want to say about today, please understand, everybody, as I'm saying this, I love America and I don't want to see it fall. And at the moment, with the Chinese and everything else, as much as messed up as America may be, we're just as messed up. I still see it as being one of our last chances of survival in terms of our political survival. So I want people to realize that I'm not having a jab at any American people. It's purely the structure of government that I'm concerned with, because it just feels like they've been pulling out for years, and it worries me that if it is part of an ongoing plan, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And I don't know. Did you not think those images of those people running from that plane, when you compare them to the Saigon images, did you not think, oh no, not, what are they doing?
Not particularly. No, I mean, I just thought it's just a clusterfuck, really. I mean, the planes what had gone in was obviously to get their own officials out, or whoever they had out there, CIA or whoever was out there. But yeah, that was the Americans all over, wasn't it? I mean,
I hate to say it.
It was unbelievable to see, in a way. I mean, you was thinking, I was waiting for someone to get sucked into the engines. It's only by, I don't know, that never happened. And then the plane would have been knackered anyway,
Pure luck.
Taken off.
Yeah, that was pure luck. That was pure and utter luck. That didn't happen, because oh my God, that so easily could have happened. And yeah, like I was saying earlier on, the Brits kind of went, we're not having that around our plane. That's not going to happen. And they put a stamp on that pretty damn quickly. But that was mad. And what it brought back for me was how it was not just Americans, us and the Americans betrayed the people in Iraq. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We betrayed the Kurds. We've done it time and time and time again, whether it's us, the Americans, or both of us. And just seeing those people scrambling off that fucking plane. Okay, I don't know each of their stories, so you are guessing a bit, but I don't know. I just thought it was, like you said, a sad clusterfuck. And
yeah, well, I mean, what gets me, Tom, it was, where was all the left-wing liberals when all the Yazidis were up on the mountains getting raped, freezing to death, starved to death? Where was all the left-wing liberals then to say, what's...
Sorry, go on. Oh, we lost you, Bolton. I've lost my sound. Can you guys still hear him? Can you guys still hear him? Thank you, Michelle. Appreciated. Really, really appreciated. Can
you hear me, Tom? Can you hear me, chat?
Oh, I can hear you now. Sorry. Thank you, Michelle. I can hear you now. I can hear you fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
sorry, where were we?
We was talking about the Yazidis.
Yeah.
Mainly all women and children, because the men had stayed to fight. Not like these Afghans, not like these Afghanis running away. 300,000 troops surrendered. That's a capitulation. They weren't interested in fighting. They was only there for the money. 75,000 Taliban took on 300,000 and went through the country in what, 3 days?
Exactly. And that also makes me think they were wanted in some ways, not by everybody, obviously, but and this thing else. I needed to jump in subject a bit, but this is why we're here. Because, sorry, go on.
They was bought off, weren't they?
But whenever you cutting out again.
No, must be you.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. It sounds very much like it. Yeah, that they were bought off. Yeah. And I just wanted to switch subjects with you a second and just say, these global warming maniacs. Yeah. You there? Bolton sound keeps getting cut off for some reason. Give me a shout, mate. The sound will come back in again.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
There it is, I think. Yeah. Right. Okay. So I can hear you now. So, these global warming extremists, I'm going to call them, and I'm going to call them extremists for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. To the best of my understanding, right, one of the hottest places on Earth gets to about 55 degrees centigrade, right, which is nowhere near hot enough to start a fire, not even close. It's about hot enough to cook an egg if you're lucky, right? So for a natural forest fire to happen, there's only a couple of ways it can happen, and that is to go through a prism of glass, which even glass isn't natural because we're making it, but go through a prism of glass, go through a crystal, or something that will amplify it to a point where even if the ground level is 60 degrees, it's not hot enough for a fire. You can't create fire out of 60-degree temperatures. It's not doable. So it has to be amplified some way, usually through glass or through a rock, through some kind of item like that. Or it's a barbecue that's been left, or it's been started deliberately. Now, the last few years, there's been heat waves, and we've had these fires in California and that. And this year, there's fires all over the place, as in nearly every single fucking country in Europe and around the world that's having any hot weather. That is not natural. That is either terrorism or it is people claiming to care about the environment in order to prove a point, going and lighting fires. Have I got any proof of it? No, just this one single thing. Go and look at the amount of forest fires in any one fucking year, and you'll never see it total up like this in the way that it has like this. This is so obviously deliberate.
No, I think there is. I think there is as many fires. I think it's just being publicised more. Personally.
Yeah, there is that. But I mean, it's like around where I live, we went through a phase of having forest fires yearly.
Yeah.
And then certain elements of the community were caught, removed. We haven't had a forest fire since.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's just so easy to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I just wonder if people are just wankers and they just do stuff without thinking, not realizing it'll cause damage. It will. But sometimes I just wonder if some of these. Sorry, go on.
Sometimes it's nature as well. I mean, lightning strikes cause a hell of a lot of fires, like prairies.
Yeah. Now there's a natural example. Yeah.
But and then I put them to nature because you need fire. Fire is needed for the to get rid of all the old. Well, it's the dead wood, isn't it? For new growth to regenerate new growth.
Yeah, and it makes a great. It puts something back into the ground as well, doesn't it? I can't think what, but it's.
Well, it'll be the nitrogen from the roots, and stuff like that.
That's it. Yeah. So it puts all that back in the ground, makes it fertile and that again. So I get that some of it is natural. I just think this year has got suspect written all over it. But I just wonder what your opinion was on that. But
no, I think it's been publicised more.
Right. That's interesting. And because it would be publicised more because the global warming people want it publicised more. So that makes sense, actually. I hadn't thought of it from that point of view. Yeah. I need to look into that more before I make what's the word? judgments about that.
Well,
So,
they are
what do you
dickheads
reckon
as well,
about?
though, aren't they? You know what I mean? They are dickheads.
Oh yeah, totally.
They're like the Taliban as well. They'd have us all wearing hemp clothes and in caves.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is what worries me is that I honestly think these people are mad bastard enough to set fires in order to prove a point about global warming. Do you know what I mean? I honestly
Yeah,
think some of them are batshit enough to do it because their answer is to burn everything down anyway.
yeah, but
But
these
so
are these are the same people who are complaining that they can't go over to France 5 times a year for the holidays. You know, exact same people because of
Mhm.
Brexit.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah,
professional
100%.
moaners. That's all they are. They're not happy unless they're moaning.
Professional moaners. That's a good term actually. Professional moaners. Yeah, yeah. What they used to call them? Right, yeah, same thing. Recreational outrage. Yeah, yeah. I think there's a hell of a lot that goes on. So, what do you reckon the idea then? I'm going to try this mixer out tomorrow night, and we'll see if we can get some people on. I'll add a phone number. We'll see if we can get some people on and have a chat about a few of the current affairs that are going on. We give it a try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll see if we can get the.
I see Jay Goose is on. All right, Jay Goose. You lost it the other week, didn't you?
Hey, Jay Goose, good to see you.
You did. You lost it. You lost it the other week. I thought it was funny, but there you go. That's just my sense of humor.
Well, you know how it goes. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
I like Jay Goose. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's a good bloke.
So should we? He's a good bloke. So should we jump? Should we jump on tomorrow and have any of you got the guts to come on? Because it always used to be difficult, but little by little, some of you would. It's just I know it's a bit nerve wracking, but all you got to do is be yourself. It's just be normal. I swear to you, Bolton, do we get people on just to rip them to pieces? We've never done that, have we? I think we lost the sound again. Well, when he comes back on, he'll back me up. We would. I know, Jay Goose, and I know you would as well. And it is a shit that you can't. I'd love to have you on. No, we don't get people on to stitch them up. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. It is conversation, and it's just simply because I know I can talk at 100 miles an hour, and I know how unfair it is for you to have to try and come back at me when you've got that tiny little amount of space to speak. And then maybe things that many of you got on your minds that you feel like you can't get out, you don't have a platform, use mine. That's what it's here for. It was always here for, yeah, okay, we do interview with Anne-Marie Waters, brilliant. It's always also been here for you as well. Even if you do wear a balaclava all day long or any of those kinds of things. Whatever your fetishes are, you are welcome to come on. You're welcome to come on tomorrow. In all seriousness, whether it be by phone or whatever, and come and join us for a chat. And within reason, we'll let you take the chat wherever you want it. So, sound good,
Can you hear me now, Thomas? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, mate. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. And then suddenly it just cuts out.
I don't
know if it does to the audience or not. I don't know if it's my end or.
No, I think what I'm doing, I'm going on YouTube to look at the comments, so I'll have to stop that.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It's a tech thing, Jay Goose. Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Jay Goose.
Yeah.
I'm not a techie.
Yeah, no, StreamYard is totally, what's the word? Intolerant to going backwards. Totally intolerant. If you leave it, it's a bastard. So that'll be it. That makes sense. Okay, well, have you got anything else you wanted to add, Bolton, before I sort of wrap up?
No, look at it. Jay Goose is saying he was a bingo caller at Granada Bingo Hall. Did a billion dance one Christmas in front of 500 grannies. Balloon dance. Gee whiz.
I wish we
get it.
I wish we could get him.
Your man there, Let It Snow, he's out in America, out in Oregon, and he was saying that that people are starting fires.
Busker acknowledged. Sorry, say again. Oh yeah, I just saw it. He said something about. Sorry, say again, because I just think I just went saw it.
He says
The one that said
fires start from lightning and humans doing it on purpose. Of the local ones this year, 2 out of 3 were currently started by terrorists. The eco-terrorists are real.
that's what I was worried about. That's what's been on my mind. That's what's been on my mind. Whether it's eco-terrorists, that's a good term, because I couldn't think of a term for it. But that's it. That's what I'm looking for.
But saying that,
Now
I mean,
it's a case of improving.
North America have had some terrible, a terrible drought this year as well. I was watching a guy in Canada earlier, and he farms hundreds of thousands of acres. The size of their farms are huge, you know, and all his crops have failed, every single bit.
Yeah. And Britain, for other than about in total about 9 days, has had an iron curtain around it all year, preventing it from having what we would call hot weather. Impenetrable. And I think it will be probably now until the end of August. It's been impenetrable. All hot air has just bounced straight off us.
I mean, I've lived up here now for over 25 years, and I've never known it as dry as what it is now. Never.
I'm not surprised actually, because it's all happening down here. It's so for every dry day you've had, we've had rain nearly every single day. Nearly every day down here where I am.
Good enough for you, soft southern pansies.
Don't start. What was that? I am a soft southern pansy, but I'm not like the rest of them because I don't moan when it's hot. So come on, you gotta give me that. You gotta give me that. I do fucking hate it when it's cold, so you got me there. You got me there. I think my only one thing. Sorry, everybody. One thing I've realised is that my YouTube chat is behind where we are on here. So, Busker, shout out to Busker, by the way. And he's been doing. I've actually seen some real good videos he's done recently. So go check out Busker's stuff, because he has caught some good stuff recently. Actually, keep an eye out over this week anyway, because there's some other stuff going on. And like I say, tomorrow. If, by the way, the only reason I'll call it off is if there's anything wrong with this what do you call it, sound mix, and if there is, then the bastard gets sent back and I get my money back for it. But if it works okay, then we'll be on for 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, if any of you dare to use it, that's on you. But it will be set up ready for us to have a proper chat, and we can go pretty much anywhere. But the only things, and I'm sorry about doing this, but I am looking at other platforms like Odyssey, Rumble, and stuff like that at the moment. But until then, we have to call the global bastard. We have to call certain things. And I'm sorry about that, but it's the only way we can survive on here. So that's the only prerequisite for coming on, is unfortunately we have to use some of these bastardized terms, because literally just saying it is all they need to take you out. It's sad, but it's the way it is.
I'll just add to that a little story. 3 boys at my work. One poor bugger, he's suffering with cancer. He's not good. He's not good. He's had part of his bowel removed, his bladder removed. Now it's in his lungs. Anyway, there's 3 of them. 2 of them started not feeling great, including him. They went for a test, positive, global bastard. The 2 who were positive had been double serumed. The 1 who was negative, no serum. So that just shows you, doesn't it?
Jesus Christ. Now, Tahit, I think what's got me doubly bear with me a minute, Bolton. I think what's got me doubly back on the ropes here is when all of this started, I was kind of open-minded, and you were very much like, oh, all this conspiracy talk. But even like, it's impossible to ignore stuff now, isn't it? It's got to a point now where people must be being willfully ignorant. Don't get me wrong. I know the people that claim to have all the answers, they're the ones to avoid. But you don't need to be a genius to work out that something's going on, do you?
Something's wrong.
You may not know what.
Remember what we was talking back about a few months ago about heart disease and heart attacks. There was another bloke at work.
That don't know.
There was another bloke at work who had 2 heart attacks he had a double heart attack last Thursday at work.
For those of you that don't know, Bolton and I had a conversation offline where he brought up something to me, and it was alarming because he's a different end of the country than me, right? So he was telling me about how like these heart attacks had suddenly gone up, and these people weren't heart attacks where people get a second chance, dead, and there was more of them all of a sudden, and all of these people had the stab. And the crazy thing was I'd been talking to someone that morning thinking, and when I was listening to him say all this, I knew exactly the same thing was happening down here as well. Now, I still say eliminating the population via a needle is not the most efficient way. But so I will never claim to you to know what's going on, but something is definitely going on.
Without a doubt.
Obviously.
Obviously,
it's going on. It's gone past the point of obviousness now.
Although
people are still denying it. Do you know that, Bolton? People are still denying it to me.
I've never known as many people dying of heart attacks. Never. Have a look at your local papers.
Well, it's true. It's true. Check this out, because this is really true.
Have a look at your local papers and have a look at the obituary column. That's what most people do when they get to my age, anyway, to see who's died. But have a look at the obituary column, and you'll see quite a few suddenly, and then family flowers only donations in lieu of chest, heart, and lung disease. Blah, it's more or less telling you, or British Heart Foundation, and there've been heart attacks. I know people do die of heart attacks. Don't get me wrong, but whether it's just a freak,
but you see that sudden rise.
It's just a lot of people all of a sudden, and they've all been at the double serum.
The thing is, as well, when you see something like that, even if that particular instance is a coincidence, there's too many things going on for them all to be coincidence. But so even if that was proven wrong, there's so much other stuff going on that. How could any government expect you to trust them when they get caught lying? Their advertisements are being taken down by the governing bodies for lying. They get caught with their trousers down so often. So these ideas, whether they be correct or not, surely they're where we're naturally going to go, because again, it's so fucking obvious that something's wrong. And I owe a lot of people an apology, and I don't mean the 5G fucking somebody tied a bat to a mast and now the blood's been transmitted around. None of you, but I owe a lot of people an apology for calling you conspiracy theorists. I owe a lot of people an apology because it wasn't obvious to me what was going on. It still isn't obvious to me what exactly is going on, but you now have to be completely and utterly self-delusional or hiding in a bubble to not realize that something sinister is happening.
Well, what did I say to you, Tom? What did I say to you when all this COVID first started? I said to you, and I'll tell everyone now what I said to Tom. I said to you, a government won't intentionally bring down their own country. And now I'm thinking I
Yeah,
was totally
you
wrong.
did.
You know,
Yeah.
I could put my hands up and say, you know,
So
I
what
got
do
that
you?
100% wrong.
And I never thought you'd change on that position. I didn't think
No.
you'd ever change on that. And I'll be honest, in fairness, I was a little bit more I was a little bit more open than you, but I
Mhm.
still thought now most of this is conspiracy theory. And
Yeah.
I was wrong. I was wrong. And even if I couldn't prove it any other way than just by saying, look how many things have gone wrong, are wrong, whether it's from policing to to the political issues that have been forced through whilst this has been going on, to the way the two-tier policing's got worse, all the way up to government, to the lies that have been told about the global bastard, constant lies. They're doing it in America now. That Biden is telling everybody if you have the stab, you won't get the thing. And it's like, well, that's what they're saying over there. So the lies continue. So it's so obvious that something is going on. And again, it's the answers that I'm not satisfied with, because the answers that people give are either proofless, and or they seem to, what's the word? Elaborate? Does that make sense? Seem to conjured from the imagination rather than plausible, and someone sat down and got the proof. Do you know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think you said a long time ago we'll probably never know the truth,
No,
which is true. But
no. But
I think that
what put me off, Tom, was when I read about this serum. I'm going to call it a serum, and what it does to your RNA, which is obviously part of your own makeup. You know, and these I knew before about T cells with the new immunotherapy and everything else, and I'd seen some disastrous results over the years from companies pharmaceutical companies what were trying to develop immunotherapy for cancer treatments. So that's what put me off straight away, because most people are thinking it's like a flu jab. You know, it's not the flu jab. You're getting treated with a flu. Well, you're being injected with a flu. What they think is going to be the most prevalent
yeah,
one or the strain from
yeah.
last year. This isn't. And to develop this in such a short space of time and then give it an emergency authorization for use, and then the
And how
pharmaceutical companies having a waiver that if anyone gets seriously ill, they don't have to pay nothing out.
I,
I
I
mean,
had a I had a conversation with someone today, right? And I said the following. I said it doesn't stop me from getting it. Doesn't stop
no,
me from passing it on.
no.
In fact, it doesn't do anything that you would expect one normally to do for other things, for other illnesses. Plus, you need to keep getting the booster, which is, other than tetanus, pretty much unheard of. I said, so in what way is it a VAX? And
Mm-hmm.
in what way am I being selfish by not having it? And although they couldn't provide me with the answer, they were still telling me I was selfish for not having it.
Oh,
Why?
there's some
Why am I?
horrible post on Twitter. If you ever look on Twitter about people who've BBC, an example of it, they'll always find someone who didn't want the vaccine, so didn't want the serum, and then all of a sudden he's got the global bastard and he's in hospital, and people are writing some horrible comments, as you know, like
Oh, I bet. Oh, I
good,
bet.
they should make him pay for his extra treatment.
Deserves it.
So
Yeah,
hang on a minute,
yeah.
what are we going to do then? Every fat bastard who's going into McDonald's, are we going to start charging them? Every smoker, are we going to start
Exactly.
charging them? Every alcoholic, are we going to start charging them? Come on,
So
have
when we go
some
to work, we pay our
decorum.
tax and our national we pay our tax and our national insurance.
Yeah.
that is for the national insurance, especially. That is for the purpose of getting ill, isn't it? So, what we're saying is now if you've got the what's the word, the nerve to get ill, then
Yeah.
fuck you. Really,
There's some
and it
horrible
just,
people.
there really are. But it also shows just how easily we're divided. Because like, how can you wish that on someone? And again, if there was some real, genuine bubonic plague going around where people were falling over in the streets and there
Mhm.
was one simple injection that could fix it, fine. But that's not the position we're in. So why would you wish all that on someone? Why would you say, "Good, you didn't have the jab, so you deserve to die"? And I've seen the comments, mate. I know what sort of things you're talking about.
Yeah, but
It's like,
these are the same. These are the same people who are quite welcome and opening to all
yeah,
these illegal immigrants coming in at Dover,
yeah,
thousands and
same people.
thousands of them. Oh, they're more than welcome here. You know, let's remember one thing here. Salman Abedi, that was the guy who blew up the Manchester Arena and killed children, men, women, and children.
Yeah,
He was he was a Libyan well, his family were Libyan refugees. They come over here
but
as
they're blinded by their
uh,
own
as
virtuous nature.
our guest. And you know why they come over here in the first place? Because he was working hand in hand with the British government
Mm.
for the downfall of Gaddafi. And not a lot of people know that, but that's what
Yeah,
happened there.
yeah. I don't even know where to go with it because it's just so messed up. And it'd be easy right now for a lot of people to give up. I realize that, but excuse me, sorry. But I have seen signs in places that certain, like in the police force, for instance, there is unhappiness in the police force now. I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere. I'm not, but it is there. And if we can pull on that thread, do you know what I mean? You never know. There are places, but we're always outgunned. We're always outnumbered. We're not outnumbered, but we're always outgunned, and we're always up against it. But just getting the truth out there is a fucking start.
Yeah,
And
well,
this is why I'm so wary. As I said, I apologize to the people that I've ever said conspiracy theories, but at the same time, it's still a long way from being able to say that I'm putting the truth out. That's a big leap to being able to actually say, right, I'm 100% confident what I'm putting out is the truth. I
yeah.
wish we could put ourselves in that position.
These are,
Not
you
just
know,
us, everybody that's fighting what we're fighting.
these are the exact same people
Go on,
who
Tom.
are going around to supermarkets when there's a shop fit going on, and what they're doing is they're taking a picture of fucking empty shelves and posting it on Twitter and
Yeah,
said, "I hope you enjoy your Brexit. This is what we've got now." You know, they're so twisted bastards. They're going on
I
about
know, I know. And why haven't
they're going
they
on
let
about
go? Why haven't they let it go?
the lorry driver shortage, saying it's because all the Eastern Europeans have gone home. It's nothing of the sort. The shortage is coming from
It's nothing to do with it.
a lack of instructors, and a lack of examiners because they've retired,
Do you know
and
what
there's a
drives me
backlog.
fucking? You know what drives me insane, right? When we went to London. By the way, when we were going through that stage, and you go to London, and you see these fucking Ramonas or whatever. There were always people that were in the 60s and 70s that used to go on demos when they were younger, and they were trying to relive their fucking past, right? I shit you not, all upper class,
Yeah,
right? And
CND ones.
yeah, 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 exactly, right, exactly. And what I used to say to them was, and nobody had an answer for me because they knew I was telling the truth. None of you, not one single person, would have been seen dead walking down the street with a European flag before Brexit. Not one. Have you ever seen a person walking around the streets with a European flag? And I'll answer for you. No, you haven't. Have you ever
No,
seen people walking down the streets with Union Jacks? Yes, you fucking have. It was only when Brexit came up, people started dressing up with all this European shit. It was like, it's a bit late now. You didn't give a fuck for the last God knows how long.
the thing is, Tom, they're the people what I've never wanted for anything. Anything they ever wanted, they
Yeah,
always got. Whether it was the
yeah,
French cheese, the Italian wine, the German beer, Spanish ham, or whatever. You know what I mean? They was living the dream. They was living the
yeah.
dream, and they was thinking, "Oh, this is utopia." We'd never wanted.
Yeah,
They never went to.
that's
They
the
never went
word.
to. They never went to school with holes in the shoes with cardboard in the bottom of them.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
it
They've
was
never,
it was
they
like,
don't understand that life. If you was to sit down and explain it to them, they wouldn't get it.
they just
They
wanted the
couldn't.
cheap labor. Get the Eastern Europeans in. Our working class youth
Yeah,
didn't
we
have a
know that.
chance, but they didn't have a
Absolutely.
chance. Look what
They
happened
were
to our
told they didn't want the
apprenticeships.
jobs. They were told they didn't want the jobs because they were being underpaid. So they were getting people who were from other countries who it seemed like a decent wage to, rather than leveling up the money and paying people what they were worth.
Well,
I remember it. It was terrible.
by a friend
And I
of
think it
mine,
still happens.
a friend of mine has just retired from being a long distance lorry driver. Um, well, he had to
Mhm.
retire because he's got heart trouble now. Comes with a job, long distance lorry driver. You sat on your ass all day. You're eating shit all day.
Yeah, yeah, I can
And he
imagine. Yeah.
he was showing me a wage ticket from 1986 to his present day one. And you know what the difference was in the hourly rate from 1986 to present day was £3
Go on.
an hour. He was getting £3 an hour more
From what
just
day?
from 1986.
Oh my goodness. Wow, so that's gone from a premium job to a shit one then.
He was getting £10 something in 1986, and he was getting
So that was a good
£13
wage back
something
then, yeah. And now that, oh wow.
because they
Fucking
brought
hell.
in all the cheap.
So they basically
They,
destroyed that industry for anybody that was on a good wage years ago then.
because all the cheap labour come in from Eastern Europe.
Fuck's sake. Fucking hell. It just makes me so fucking mad.
I can't blame
And
the
by the way,
Eastern Europeans for it.
to the comment, no, you can't blame them at all. This is the thing, is like whether it's Islam, whether it's a multitude of subjects, people always assume if I criticize the influence Islam's had in our country or whatever else, people always assume that I'm attacking, say, Muslims. Now there might be a time when I am, if it's a specific set of people who have done something wrong. But most of the time, my anger is directed at my government because they are the ones directly responsible for allowing most of this to happen. So that's where a lot of my anger is, because they've let all this happen, and they keep letting it happen. And they keep encouraging it to happen. And that's where a lot of my anger goes, towards them. I think you've been cut off again, haven't you?
No, still here.
I'll always wait for you to come back on.
Still here.
Oh, there you are. To the people in the comments, I can see that my name is being highlighted a lot, and this is why I wanted to offer you the link or the phone number tomorrow so that you can jump on, because it's very hard to keep up the comments, and when I keep up the comments, generally I tend to get behind, or it doesn't flow so well. So this is the other reason why I wanted to offer the phone tomorrow. But what I will tell you is I don't watch my videos back, but it is easy to go through your comments and read them through back. So I promise I will go back through each and every single comment and read them all, because we don't have the time to go through them all now. But I am aware that you've tagged me, and I will come back to them. And if there's anything pertinent for tomorrow, I'll write it down and I'll bring it back up, and I'll bring your name up as well. I just want to let you know I am very aware of you making the effort to put the comments in, and I'm always appreciative of it. So I will go back over and look at them all. And if I'm really, really honest, I can't remember. I put my glasses and I'm looking at TV, which is across the other side of the room, and I can't fucking see the words. So that's the other reason. But yeah. So I'm in a bit. So I'm in a bit of a. After seeing what I saw tonight with the Taliban and everything else, I'm in a bit of a head scratchy mood. Bolton, you were invited as well. Anybody, whether it's mods, whether it's other YouTubers, whether it's people who watch shows, whoever, you're all invited to come on. Like I say, I'll provide a phone number. I'll also provide a StreamYard link. Well, come and join us at 8 o'clock tomorrow. We'll have a few topics ready, but if they change, they change. The conversation is always, it's never wooden, it's always natural. And if it doesn't go anywhere, by the way, I'll just switch off and fuck off and record something else. So we can't lose. So I'm gonna aim it for about 8 o'clock. Do you reckon 8 o'clock's about a good time tomorrow?
Yeah, whatever, Tom. Right.
Yeah, about 8 o'clock tomorrow. So if you wanna come on, have your say. About, like I say, a multitude of issues. Really, I mean, take your pick at the moment. In this week, take your pick, whether it be from the Gurkhas to you name it. We've got it all going on. I've got to do work again later in the week, so this is going to be a chance I'm going to have to do this. So, yeah, so that's it from me. I just wanted to ask people what they thought about the puppets idea. As I said, Bolton, said it a long time ago, and it stuck with me. And obviously, we can't all agree, but that's good. I don't want us to always agree. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of prep you up that tomorrow, come on, have your say, and don't be scared. And Bolton, have you got anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, just remember, folks, Donald Trump wants you to take your medicine as well. Just remember that.
That's true, isn't it? That's actually true, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. That when was that? When was that? That was recently, wasn't it?
He's been quite vocal in it ever since it started.
Yeah, I forgot all about. Yeah, I forgot all about that. How can I forget that? But yeah, he does want you to take your medicine. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, but it's the circles he mixes in. You see.
See, it's good timing to mix that in. It's a good way to end. It's a good way to end it on that, because anybody who's got an issue with that can come on tomorrow and say so. But that's yeah. Donald wants you to take your medicine. So if you believe in him, get that jab. So leaving it on that, we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come and join us if you want to have your say. And if you want to be a pussy, then just come and watch. But seriously, we'll be appreciative no matter what you do. And we'll speak to you then. And Bolton, thanks for coming on. It's been a while.
No problem. Yeah.
And probably see you again tomorrow. And yeah, we'll have another chat, and we'll go through. I'll write a few things down, because there's so many things going on at the moment. It's hard to keep up with. But yeah, we'll start at a sensible place tomorrow. And like I say, I'll test that mixing equipment out. If it's good, then we know that we're good for all situations. And I can literally then do a phone in on a train, which would be awesome. So we'll see how it goes. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Bob, for coming on. And I love you all. And I don't care if we've got 19 people on here or 900. It means the same to me. And I've realized that so much more over the last few months. It really doesn't matter. So really appreciate anybody that's given us the time of day. With that, I will say love you and leave you. My name is Tom Suri. I'm going to play the wrong outro, by the way. This is Zero News, and I'm calling it all day for now.